Welcome back to Big Picture Investing. This is Kevin McCormick, and we're going to dive into the big announcement from Oklo today about their nuclear recycling facility and why we did not see the usual pop in the stock from news reports like this. So let's dive straight into it. A $1.68 billion investment in America's nuclear future is the headline. They're going to be building a facility in Tennessee that is expected to provide over 800 jobs. This facility will help recycle used nuclear fuel. Big win for all of us, converting challenges into opportunities. As I already mentioned, this is going to be located in Oak Ridge, Tennessee, and the facility is not expected to be completed until the beginning of the 2030s. This is one of the problems with Oklo as a company and a stock. Their first nuclear facility is not supposed to be online until 2027. This recycling facility, we're still looking at early 2030s on that. But if you believe in the nuclear future, we're going to need to start recycling this waste. And there's already 94,000 tons of used nuclear fuel waiting to be unlocked with a recycling facility like this. Let's take a quick look at the economic impact that this can provide. In the Oak Ridge area, we're looking at 800 high-quality jobs. But the biggest piece here is the strategic and economic impact for the United States and our future of using nuclear energy. Just the 94,000 tons of wasted fuel out there today is the equivalent of 1.3 trillion barrels of oil. That's about 5 times the known oil reserves of the country of Saudi Arabia. So just our wasted nuclear fuel sitting out there could power the United States for years and years to come. But as we mentioned, this is all about future production and not today. But what has changed over the years? Well, the number one piece is we've had the change from the federal government and states. We no longer have a fear of nuclear in the environment here. And so the federal government is backing this, along with Governor Bill Lee of Tennessee. And the Tennessee Valley Authority will be involved in helping build out this facility to make it a success. As long as we keep having the power of local, state, and federal government behind nuclear, hopefully we'll see these facilities come to fruition. If we talk about nuclear waste management and its challenges, this is not actually a new idea out there. When nuclear fuel started to be used for energy, it was discovered that about 90 to 95% of its potential energy was still left over after the nuclear energy was produced in these facilities, and that was a huge potential energy that was being left as waste. But nuclear waste recycling has had a long history in the United States, just like nuclear power. It was a visionary concept with the Manhattan Project, and we actually used to have a nuclear recycling facility here in the United States, but it was deprecated years ago when the United States moved to an anti-nuclear position. Today, the only areas that have nuclear waste recycling facilities are France and Russia. So this would be a very important addition to the United States if we're going to start building out all of these nuclear facilities. But what makes this recycling opportunity different this time around is also how Oklo is planning on building out their nuclear reactors. They are going to the next generation fast reactor technology. These fast reactors allow Oklo to unlock this 90 to 95% of energy still left in the spent nuclear fuel. That is actually the key component behind this, because if we could recycle the nuclear fuel already today and reuse it in our existing nuclear facilities, this is a process that would be seeing more used commercially than it is today. So it's a combination of things here, but it's not just recycling the nuclear fuel. The new fast reactors are a perfect solution for that recycled nuclear fuel as well. Let's jump into a quick history of this. I'd already hit on it a few times, but it's not a new idea behind nuclear recycling. For some of my age, we remember early on that it was always about what are we going to do with all this nuclear waste? And, that's how a lot of our comic strips and things came out from nuclear waste disasters in the past. But this was formed back in the 70s and the 80s, and we started to build out the facility, like I said before, but the commercial processing was put to a stop after it was becoming too successful and worries about it being used for military uses. But this all started to change about 5 years ago when the United States started to take a new look at nuclear, and now the Department of Energy and the Biden administration and now the Trump administration has really taken the reins of becoming very pro-nuclear in the United States. So nuclear recycling is going to be a must-have for us for our nuclear future. But as I mentioned before, this facility works in combination with the new fast reactor. The first fast reactor from Oklo is not expected to come online until 2027. Hopefully, with the support from the Trump administration, this timeline will be met. Because in the past, building a nuclear facility, you pretty much had to double or triple whatever the initial timeline was, and we might have it by then. So if we hit the 2027 timeline for this facility in Idaho, which already has an initial fuel from the reprocessed waste of the experimental reactor in the Idaho National Laboratory, unlike some of the other nuclear projects, this facility already has its fuel available. They'll be able to turn on, prove the fast reactor technology, and then hopefully by early 2030, we'll be able to start fueling these fast reactors with recycled fuel instead of having to go out to places like Russia to get our uranium for these facilities. But as I mentioned at the beginning, Oklo's stock has been down on this news and really for the last day. And the reason for this is about them reissuing or issuing more stock. Oklo does not have any revenues today because their first facility will not come on until 2027. So everyone is buying the stock in the company in the hopes that in the future, all of these big ideas they have will work out. To keep funding operations, they've been selling stock at these great prices. Oklo now has a market capitalization of over $10 billion for a company that has no revenue. It's very rare that a company can have this kind of opportunity with a big market capitalization without revenue. So I do have to agree with the company's position of selling stock to raise more money. But the problem is they went from raising $400 million to just recently announcing a couple days ago that they upped that to $540 million. When you do that, it dilutes existing shareholders and adds more liquidity in the market in Oklo stock. So as Oklo continues to sell more stock into the market to fund their operations, it's going to be harder for the stock to continue higher. We're going to have to start to see some bigger news and maybe actually news around facilities coming online for this stock to move in the future. But it has been a great stock for the last year, so we can't really complain about the company issuing stock to fund their future growth. But really, to finish things up and talk about the key takeaways, this is possibly a great transformative potential for nuclear in the United States. To be able to recycle spent nuclear fuel that is the equivalent of 1.3 trillion barrels of oil and use that in these new nuclear reactors that companies like Oklo are talking about creating, gives us the opportunity to not only produce gigawatts of energy in the United States, but use it with a spent fuel that many people fear still today. What do you all think about it? Let me know down in the comments what you think about Oklo's future and the future of the stock. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time on Big Picture Investing.